So 25 is the magic number. 1 is the first time when I failed. That was in class 7 in 1997. And then I failed in class 9 again once. Miraculously got through class 10. I don't know how. Failed 7 times in intermediate. I don't know how. I think I must have broken the record for writing the calculus exams 5 times. You know? And then 16 times in engineering, after which I gave up. So I think 1 plus 1 plus 7 plus 16 equals 25. That is, the secret behind that equation. So when I failed in mathematics in class 7, that is when I was introduced to the beautiful Urdu word Tajposhi. So for those who don't know Tajposhi, it means coronation. A king is coronated and then he starts to rule. But then my mom did it with a stick. And it was a hockey stick. So how does hockey, sports, and coronation, there's no relation there. But anyway, so that's when I got to know what Tajposhi means. And then I was very bad at mathematics. I failed again. There's no secret there. And then, like a joker, I opted for MPC, maths, physics, and chemistry. But perhaps not like a joker. I'm being perhaps too self-deprecatory, like a sheep. One of those following the herd. And after that, these calculus, and differentiation and all of that, I couldn't understand anything of. I couldn't make head or tail. And yet I wrote MSET. And I think, if you see these lease deeds between companies, you get to see that if somebody is hiring a space for rent on lease, there's something called as an act of God, right? So if anything bad happens, that is an act of God. I think this was the act of God for me, writing MSET. And miraculously, I got a free seat. A person who failed 7 times in intermediate got a free seat in MSET. Imagine that. I don't know how that's possible. And then back then in 2001 or 2002, you had ranks being printed in newspapers beside your hall ticket number. It was 7 o'clock in the morning, groggy-eyed. I go out and pick the paper up. And then I see that hall ticket number and the other magic number, 9,282 in 2002. Good rank, by the way. And I showed my father, Baba, pass ho gaya, mil gaya mere ko. Oh, I've got a good rank. And then my father says, very calm, very composed, "Zara dekho, kahin aur number honga usme." So that's how my relationship with magic numbers has been. And then I entered one of the better engineering colleges, not on the city outskirts, but very, very much within the city limits. And I don't know why I did that. And after I failed the first time, I failed in 7 subjects in first year. I was detained, proud detained, so very proudly, I'm proud of that. Even though Sriram said that never be proud of it, but I am. So, and then I cleared 1 subject, got into second year after 1 whole year of being detained. And I failed again. I got detained again. And all of this while, there was one thing that was running in my mind. And if Pranati is Pranati here? I don't think so. Yeah. So I was a musician, for a full-time musician rather, till 2006. I was in, death metal bands and thrash metal bands and power metal bands. And that was one thing that always was on my mind, that I need to get back to music. And there's a reason why I'm telling you about this, which I will come to later in a short while. And for a good period of time, we were pretty popular in the local circuit, and we just broke out into the Bombay scene. Back then it was Bombay, not Mumbai. So, and then the band broke up. That's another failure. So I didn't put that in. There are a lot of intangibles. 25 does not include a lot of intangible failures of mine, which I'm not going to share with you. इतनी बेइज्जती बहुत है. So So after that, the band failed, and I had to do something with my life. And my parents told me, "Dekho, just leave engineering, quit engineering. Apart from music, you're good at something else, which is writing." I used to write a lot back then, and I still do by virtue of being a journalist. Don't call. So after that, my parents told me to quit. They were very accommodating, they're very understanding, and they're very, very supportive that way. And finally, in 2006, I quit engineering, and I had to do something with my life. I got into real estate. I worked at a construction firm, a very good gentleman. He was my boss, and I didn't want to do that again. So I dropped out again, out of this particular job. And then I got into, it's a very fancy term they have for it these days. It's called data processing. So basically, I was the back-end support for UK. I was automation for UK in a call center, basically. That's what I want to say. And I didn't want to be there. I wanted to write. I wanted to sing. And then after 2 years, I quit. That's another dropout. That's another failure over there. And it was in 2010 that I got to know that there is an opening at the Times of India, which is my current employer. And all of these series of dropping out events, I didn't have a degree. I was I was just a +2. That's it. And that too, who's failed 7 times. Good Lord. And the then editor, Mr. Kingshuk Nag, to whom I will forever be grateful, he told me to come and meet him. I met him. It was a pretty long, torturous interview. He can be very difficult at times. I hope his wife is not here. No. So it can be very, very, it was a very difficult interview. And then Times of India does not hire people without a degree. And I had no degree back then. So I worked without a degree, without pay, without complaining, without pay, for 6 months, six months or a year. I'm sorry, it's a little fuzzy. That was my ticket to the inside, to being a full-time journalist with the Times of India. Now here is when I realized that 2 things are very important. So if you see, since 1997 till 2010, my stability could be described as that of a kite in a thunderstorm. I was as stable as a kite in a thunderstorm. So there was two things which I realized. One is that the changing of goals, or rather the resetting of goals, is not failure. It is not failure. And the other thing is that one must come to terms with the fact that you have failed. How bhai ludak gaye. As simple as that. You have failed. No problem. There's something else you can do about it. Which I did, which I think was a course correction. And a third thing which is very important is, I'm not sure if many people have that, I was very fortunate to have it, is a support system which is right here. My mom and my dad. And the third thing which gave me some sort of stability is that woman over there, my wife. By the way, I'm hoping that there'll be some return on investment in a short while. So so these are the 3 important things which I realized. And another thing, given the kind of charged environment that India is, irrespective of caste, creed, sexual orientation, race, or religion, there will be disparaging comments directed at you. And these can be really hurtful. And these can take a person down. So the best thing to do is that not to take these things at face value. Pick yourself up and do what you wanted to do. That is a very important thing which I learned. I'll give the example. And the responses to these charged comments will evolve over a period of time. And I'm sure that everybody will have their evolved ways of dealing with this. So and while some people do know what they want to do, they're very firm, they know what they want to do. Let me admit, I don't. I don't know what I'm going to do in the next 5 years. But I do know one thing for sure, and I'll quote the poet of the East, Allama Iqbal, सितारों के आगे जहां और भी हैं, अभी इश्क के इम्तिहान और भी है. शुक्रिया.